For 7 months, a 185-pound Bullmastiff sat in the back corner of a shelter kennel and never made a single sound. No bark, no whine, nothing. The staff said he had simply given up. Then a woman whose house had gone completely silent the week her daughter left for college did something nobody else had thought to try. She sat down on the floor, and the night that same silent dog finally found his voice at 2:43 in the morning is the only reason she is still here to tell this story. Erin Caldwell was 47 years old, and for the first time in 18 years, her house in Boulder, Colorado was completely quiet. Her daughter Mia had been her whole world. Erin had raised her alone since Mia was 3, working 2 jobs, packing lunches, sitting through every recital and every late-night fever. And then, on a Sunday in August, she drove Mia up to college in Fort Collins, hugged her in a dorm parking lot, and came home to a house that had never once been empty in her entire adult life. She told everyone she was fine, better than fine. She told her coworkers she was finally going to enjoy some freedom. But the truth was, she stood in Mia's empty bedroom that first night, and the silence in that house was so loud it felt like a sound of its own. 3 weeks later, on a Saturday she had nothing to fill, Erin drove to the county shelter just to look. She was not going to adopt. That is what she told herself. Most of the dogs rushed the front of their kennels, barking, spinning, desperate to be seen. But in the last kennel on the left, in the back corner, a massive fawn Bullmastiff lay with his back to the door, facing the concrete wall. He did not turn around, he did not lift his head, he just breathed. His name was Moose. The volunteer walking with Erin lowered her voice when they reached him. He had been there 7 months, she said, longer than any other dog in the building. He had been surrendered when his elderly owner could no longer care for him. And somewhere in those first weeks, something in him had closed like a door. He stopped eating for anyone but one quiet kennel tech. He stopped responding to his name. And at some point, he stopped making any sound at all. No bark, no whine. 7 months of total silence. 2 families had looked at him and walked on. He was too big, too still, too far inside himself for anyone to reach. The staff had quietly stopped expecting him to leave. Erin should have kept walking. Instead, she stopped. She did not reach through the bars. She did not call his name in that high, bright voice people use on dogs. She just lowered herself down, slowly, until she was sitting on the cold concrete floor, her back against the bars of the empty run across the aisle. And she waited. 5 minutes, then 10. The volunteer eventually drifted off to help someone else. Erin stayed on the floor. She just sat there in the silence, the same silence she had been living in for 3 weeks, and somehow it felt less heavy sharing it with him. After almost 40 minutes, Moose lifted his head. He turned slowly and looked at her for the first time. Tired eyes, the color of weak tea. He did not come to the bars, but he looked. And for Erin, who knew exactly what it felt like to sit alone in a quiet room, waiting for someone to notice you were still in there, that one look was enough. She filled out the paperwork that same afternoon. The first 2 weeks at home, Moose was a ghost. He ate only when Erin left the room. He slept in the narrow space between the couch and the wall, facing out like he needed to see the exits. He flinched at the dishwasher, the doorbell, the kettle, and he still did not make a sound. Not one. So Erin did the only thing she knew how to do. Every evening after work, she would make her dinner, carry her plate down to the kitchen floor, and sit right there on the tile, her back against the cabinets, eating beside him instead of above him. She talked to him about her day, about Mia's texts from college, about nothing at all. She never forced it, she just kept sitting on the floor night after night, the way she had in that shelter aisle. On the 9th night, while she was sitting there with a plate of cold pasta, Moose stood up from his spot by the wall, crossed the kitchen, and lay down beside her, close enough that his enormous shoulder pressed against her arm. He let out a long, slow breath and rested his huge, wrinkled head on her knee. Erin sat perfectly still so she would not break it, one hand finally resting on the side of his face, and she cried, quietly, for the first time since the day she had left her daughter in that parking lot. Some bonds take months to build, and those are exactly the ones worth telling you about. After that night, Moose changed in small ways. He started eating while she was in the room. He started following her from the kitchen to the couch to the bedroom, a 185-pound shadow that wanted to be wherever she was. He learned that the dishwasher was not a threat. He claimed the left side of the couch, then most of the couch, then her bed. He would rest his chin on the counter and watch her cook with the patience of a dog who had decided this was his person now. But there was one thing that never changed. Moose still never made a sound. Not when the mail carrier came, not when other dogs barked at the park, not even when Erin came home and he wagged his whole back end with joy. 7 months of silence in that shelter had stayed inside him. The vet said there was nothing physically wrong. He simply did not have anything to say. Or maybe he had just forgotten how. Erin stopped expecting it. She loved him exactly as he was, quiet and enormous and hers. Her sister told her she was crazy to take on a dog that size at her age. Her neighbor, an older man named Walt, who lived alone next door, said a dog that big in a house with one woman was a lot to handle. Erin did not argue. She just knew the house was not silent in the lonely way anymore. It was quiet, the way a house is quiet when someone you love is asleep in the next room. I notice you still have not subscribed, and after a story like this, that stings a little. Tap subscribe and stick around with us. By November, the snow had come down to the foothills, and Erin and Moose had a routine that filled every corner of the day. He woke her at 6:40 by resting his heavy head on the mattress and staring until she opened her eyes. He waited by the door while she scraped ice off the car. In the evenings, he leaned his full weight against her legs while she did the dishes, and she would lean back into him, and the two of them would stand there in the warm kitchen while it got dark and cold outside. If your chest just tightened a little, then you already understand exactly what he had become to her. It happened on a Thursday night in early December. Erin had been carrying a laundry basket down the basement stairs, the old wooden ones that had needed a new runner for years. She had done it 1,000 times, but that night her sock caught the edge of the top step and she went down hard, all the way to the bottom, the basket flying, her head striking the concrete at the base of the stairs. When she opened her eyes, she did not know how long she had been lying there. The basement light was on. Her phone was upstairs on the kitchen counter, a whole world away. Her ankle was twisted underneath her and would not take her weight, and her head was pounding so hard the room kept sliding sideways. She tried to call out. Her voice came out as a whisper. She was on the floor of a basement, alone in a house at the end of a quiet street, and the only person who might notice she was missing was her daughter, 3 hours north, who was not expecting to hear from her until Sunday. And then, from the top of the stairs, she heard something she had never once heard in the 8 months she had known him. Moose barked. It was huge and rough and cracked, the sound of a voice that had not been used in a very long time. And then he did it again and again. He stood at the top of the basement stairs and he barked and barked and barked, louder than Erin would have believed possible, his whole body shaking with the effort of it, refusing to stop. He barked until the sound filled the house and spilled out into the freezing street. He barked until Walt, the neighbor who had said a dog that big was too much, heard it through the wall at 2:43 in the morning, pulled on his boots and crossed the yard. He barked until the door opened, until help came down those stairs, until there were finally other people in that house with her. The silent dog, 7 months without a sound in that shelter, 8 more months of quiet in her home. The one dog everyone had given up on, the one nobody could reach. He found his voice the single night it mattered most, for the one person who had sat down on the floor and waited for him to come back to the world. The paramedics told Erin that a fall like that alone, with a head injury and no way to reach a phone, could have ended very differently if no one had found her until morning. They also said, smiling, that her dog had not stopped barking the entire time they worked and had not moved from her side for a single second. Walt brings Moose a biscuit through the fence every morning now. Erin's sister stopped calling her crazy. Mia drives down from Fort Collins 1 weekend a month, and the first thing she does when she walks in the door is get down on the kitchen floor with the giant dog who saved her mother. Today, Moose is 6 years old. He still claims the couch. He still leans his whole weight against Erin's legs at the kitchen sink. And he is not silent anymore. He greets her at the door with a low, happy rumble. He grumbles at the snowplow. He found his voice that night and he never lost it again, as if the part of him that had closed in that shelter had finally, fully opened back up. When a dog goes quiet, when he turns to face the wall, when the whole world has decided he's too much or too far gone, do not walk past him. Sometimes he is not broken. Sometimes he's just waiting for one person willing to sit down on the floor and wait. And if you are ever thinking of opening your home to one of them, especially the big, quiet ones nobody else chose, understand that the love you have to be patient for is very often the love that ends up saving your life. Would you have sat down on that cold floor for a dog who would not even turn around to look at you? Or would you have picked an easier one? Tell me in the comments, because some hearts do not open with words. They open for the one person willing to sit in the silence and wait.